Good evening. I took a bath, and this night I did my greenhouse effect again. Got it wrapped. I was listening to the news, of course, local news, and they were talking about gangs, and they had some guy, I didn't listen to him, because I don't believe in faulting the victims, and I feel that children are victims of our society, and I think that there are solutions, like they want to make money. Most of these kids are in gangs, let's face it, not to shoot up people or beat up people. If that's what they're in for, then there's Golden Gloves, there's wrestling, there's other activities we could get these kids involved in. We could start a softball little league. You could have an African American little league. Like they used to have a colored little league. But, you know, there's other activities. There's activities we could have, you know, like to encourage kids to make money, to be entrepreneurs. You know, get them involved in, you know, like making money that's not illegal. Maybe the answer for some of them, since we're housing almost all of our juveniles in the jail. And maybe there's Job Corps. Maybe there's 9-month board education course that they can learn welding or something. Maybe and maybe the answer is not that we blame them for I think it's a society's fail, our youth, especially here, and it's not an option for a lot of the poor kids to go to school because of the student loans. I mean, who is behind, like, the collection of the student loans? I think that's something we should look into, because if they're just making money off of the interest that is student loans, and we're not investing in our children's futures. We're enslaving our kids to, you know, to pay off these loans. And I think if we could forgive the banks, we should be able to forgive some of these student loans, because in a lot of ways it looks like that has attributed to the youth not being able to have a job. We have a problem, and then we try to treat them like adults, you know, in a lot of ways, because of their violent behavior and whatnot. And I don't see their violent behavior as that of being adults. We act like we can rehabilitate them. I know in the 50s, I was reading something, they were big on rehabilitating, and they actually was able to do that through education, through making sure that the education that they gave them could get them a job out, when they come out, so they don't have to go and live, you know, on the streets downtown, or so they don't have to continue, and even maybe stopping the prohibition against marijuana. That might put a devastation in a lot of the illegal activities. Where, you know, I mean, you know, I've always seen it where, like, oh, it's always, you know, like, they arrest, you know, so many people and they keep coming through, and, you know, yeah, and like, I know once in a while they get a big kilo, and you just know that it's the people that regularly supply here found out that somebody else, you know, was bringing something in, and they just, you know, dropped a dime on them. So, I mean, the only way to stop, like, some of, and I'm not saying make all drugs legal, but I'm saying that as long as, you know, you have a drug that from what I've read up to, you know, it's probably less harmful than alcohol. So I mean, these little baby steps, you know, one, maybe finding some type, if they're making candles, if they start a yard service, you know, and sometimes we don't want to have seasonal stuff. Maybe if they could make solar panels, or get them in. But you know what I'm saying, we have to think of ways for these children to make money in another way. And don't forget the females. The females' only option shouldn't be that they have to support the child and their boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? We can't forget the women. It doesn't matter if they do get pregnant at teenagers. We got lawyers, we got doctors, we got dentists, we got CEOs, we got people that are journalists, we have people that work in factories, we have people that were policemen that were teen pregnant. You know what I'm saying? It's never stopped anybody. If anything, it should encourage them to have to go out and make money, you know. And we want them to make money in a way that won't cost us more money later on. Like, you know, like prostitution costs us more money later on because of the health industry and for a lot of the, you know, like the blackmail, embezzlement, and the trafficking of small, you know, so it could cost more money that way too. But if you get these other, you know, there's secretary jobs, there's construction work for women, you know, there really isn't any reason that you can't hire someone, you know, unless, I mean, like, I'm not gonna lift 50 pounds, but I'm 54, you know. And when I was younger, I could do that, but I'm not all day long. You know, there's jobs, there's appropriate jobs, even in construction for women. I seen in New York, they was up on the high-risers. So, we don't have to limit ourselves because of gender. You know what I'm saying? At home, mostly all the women do cook, but when you go out to a restaurant, all the men are chefs. You know, I mean, like, I think that our answer to the problem is to fix our education system, is to in the right now in the media, is to, you know, help them find legal ways to make money. Maybe they want to have a gossip channel, a gossip blog or something, or start a choir. You know, maybe they want to maybe we could beautify the city by having some of our artists that want to graffiti. Maybe we could, I wouldn't mind having my retaining wall right here done. You know, something I was thinking about, but I have to make sure it wouldn't be too much, you know, like something the neighbors wouldn't like. But there's all type of activities. If we think we could have a victory garden where these kids could, you know, grow food and maybe sell the food, you know, which organic is very it's very healthy. It's very hot right now. A lot of people here have diabetes, and there's so many varieties from fruit trees to vegetables, and then there's other things. Maybe they could do some creative stuff. Maybe they could recycle plastic and make toys for kids, or make toys that they could sell. I think that if we think of ways that we could engage these children in ways of making money, they could put on a street show, street singing. They could, you know, open up. There's so many other activities, and maybe if we got the children together and have them brainstorm and have them run it, and them in charge of doing it, with maybe a few people that are business minded, and maybe even if we do get these kids to start some type of small business, maybe we could get them some type of certificate for business. Maybe, you know, for you know, they're, you know, I mean, I've heard that people started Pizza Hut, you know, with like $12 in buying supplies. So there's things that we can do. We could, I don't know, maybe somebody might want to take old plastic juice containers and make some stylish slippers, or, you know, be creative. And then there's jobs already existed. You know, maybe some kids could go to Job Corps. They have good opportunities for them to learn a career there, and I think there's even opportunity for some of them to go to college, and they don't have to pay for it. I think, you know, it might be a 2-year or whatever, or and if you have different skills that are not that everybody else has, and we might not even understand what your different skills are. Maybe we could have women going back to making quilts, women and men, crocheting, knitting. So that's my ideas. I think if we get these kids engaged in a way that they can make money legally, that if we could educate them in such a way that not everybody could be everybody can start open a business. Not everybody can do that, but everybody could continue to learn in such a way that it might benefit not only them but their offspring in the future and the whole community as a whole. And that and because I think lecturing them and the scare tactics and taking them to jail is not the solution. You got to have real solutions. These children got to have real dollars in their pockets, because in today, let's face it, in capitalist society, things cost real money. And I think that's the #1 issue, is that we're not engaging these kids about the time they're in high school, that they're ready to enter the workforce. And I think that's what we need to do, is get these kids in the workforce, get them engaged, get them to be creative. Even if they collect old aluminum cans and make dog houses. I don't know, but I've seen like people would do yard art or whatever. So I think that we even have organizations already that are in place, like with the YWCA, with the Big Brothers. There's numerous organizations. There's soccer clubs, basketball, football. So I think that if you brainstorm, maybe with the children, with their parents, and maybe a coach or a music director, or somebody that you might want to engage them with, and maybe you could get some volunteers from senior citizens that retire and maybe in the field of engineer, and they could help guide some child, like tutor. So it could be your own parents. Maybe you just engage them in the cooking, or growing their own vegetables. Well, anyway, I think that's just something to think about. I think that the #1 thing that most of the gangs are doing is selling illegal drugs. If we could legalize marijuana, but I think first of all and foremost that we have to be able to give these kids the opportunity to make money legally. And the best way is to educate them. I think we can rehabilitate the children in such a way that they'll be very beneficial to us in the future. Bye-bye.